Welcome to The Explainer. You ever feel like you're just missing the instruction manual for life? Well, today, we're unlocking the core ideas from clinical psychologist Dr. Henry Cloud's book, which is all about a faith-based guide to making life really work.
Right off the bat, the author taps into something we all feel, that deep-down search for the secrets to a good life. It's a quest that books like The Secret have made super popular, and it just goes to show how hungry we are for real answers.
But this book takes a sharp turn right away. Instead of talking about an impersonal universe that just responds to our thoughts, Dr. Cloud introduces a personal God who actually wants a relationship. So success isn't just something you manifest on your own, it's framed as a team effort with a higher power.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to look at that universal search for meaning, then get into the foundational first step the book says is crucial. After that, we'll dive into how all this helps you master your inner world, why connection is so important, and finally, how to build a life that's truly resilient.
So where does this whole quest for answers even begin? Well, for Dr. Cloud, and probably for a lot of us, it kicks off from a place of real personal struggle.
Dr. Cloud gets personal right out of the gate. He tells the story about being in college and hitting a total low point. A serious relationship had just ended, and a hand injury completely wrecked his promising golf career. He was just left there wondering, okay, what is the secret? How do people make all of this stuff, relationships, career, happiness, actually work?
And that crisis, it ended up being the big turning point. It led him to what the book calls the true starting line for any real change. 2 actions that you have to take before anything else can happen.
So according to the book, everything else we're about to talk about depends on these 2 very simple but profound decisions. First, you have to actively seek a higher power, and second, you have to decide to trust in what you find. Now, the author presents this first secret as basically an ironclad guarantee. The idea is that if you genuinely look for God, you will find him. Why? Because in this view, God is also actively looking for you. It's not a one-way search, it's a meeting.
To help us wrap our minds around this idea of trust, the book uses this really powerful quote from Emerson. And the logic is pretty simple. Just look around. If the world you can see is this detailed and amazing, then maybe, just maybe, you can trust its creator with all the parts of your life that you can't see, the parts that feel messy and out of control.
Okay, so you've taken those first steps. You're seeking, you're trusting. Now what? How does that actually change things on the inside? Let's get into how this foundation helps us master our own minds and our emotions.
A huge argument in the book is that our feelings don't just happen to us. A lot of the time, they're a direct result of our thoughts. And the big idea here is that you actually have the power to take captive those negative thought patterns that can send you spiraling. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The book takes these well-known patterns of depressive thinking from psychology, the tendency to see problems as personal, pervasive, and permanent, and it pairs each one with a specific biblical counter-argument. It's basically a tool to help you actively fight back against those destructive thoughts as they happen. Then the book brings in another secret to happiness, using this really powerful metaphor, slavery versus freedom. The point is, true happiness isn't just about thinking happy thoughts, it's about actively breaking free from the stuff that controls you. Whether that's a destructive habit, an addiction, or even an unhealthy relationship. So, this next point is a bit of a paradox. The book argues that just trying to ignore or push down your negative emotions never works. The real path to feeling better often means you have to feel a little worse first, by actually facing and dealing with past pain, what the author calls draining the wound. But all this inner work, it's not meant to be a solo mission. The book makes it super clear that our internal health is deeply, deeply tied to one of the most powerful forces out there, our connections with other people. To really drive this point home, we get this cautionary tale about a successful entrepreneur named Dave. His business hit a rough patch, and what did he do? He didn't reach out for help. He pulled away. He isolated himself, told his wife he was just working it out, and the result was a total implosion of his life, both personally and professionally. And look, science backs this up in a huge way. Check out this chart. It's based on research into the stress hormone cortisol. When a monkey is stressed out all by itself, its cortisol levels go through the roof. But, and this is incredible, if you just put a friend in there with them, those stress levels plummet, even though the stressful thing is exactly the same. We are literally, biologically wired to need each other.
According to the author, all of this points to one single, undeniable secret of God's design. We are simply not meant to be alone. Our minds, our bodies, our spirits, they're all built for connection.
Okay, so how do we pull all of these pieces together? The final section shows how all of it, the seeking, the trusting, managing our inner world, and connecting with others, comes together to build a life that can actually withstand the storms.
And the book's central metaphor for this is a classic one, building a house on rock versus on sand. A life built on sand is fragile, right? Your happiness depends on everything going perfectly. But a life built on the rock has a solid foundation of faith and these practiced principles.
And what that means in the real world is that your well-being isn't tied to the stock market or what your boss thinks of you or whether traffic was good today. It's anchored to something way deeper, something that doesn't change.
And this foundation, the author says, gives you actual, tangible resources to get through life's tough spots. It's not about avoiding the storms. It's about having the strength, the peace, and the perspective to not just survive them, but to actually grow because of them.
And so, this whole framework really leads us to one final, simple, but pretty profound question. Looking at this central idea of the book, we're left to ask ourselves, what rock is my life really built on? When the storms hit, what am I actually counting on?